Hello everyone, welcome to AutoCAD Mechanical 2015. You are watching part 1 for the AutoCAD Mechanical tutorial for beginners, and I will show you what sort of options you can find in the AutoCAD Mechanical interface so that when you're designing it will be easier for you and more flexible. So let's begin by first creating a new file. So I'm going to go here and click on this option, which basically drops down the start menu for me, and in this menu I have lots of options such as new, open, save as. So I'm going to go to new and I'm going to click on new. Now when I click on the new option, a window will open, and that window will have several different options inside it. Okay, as you can see, all these options have different names. Now you need to be concerned with the options over here, the ones that start with AM underscore followed by certain letters. These letters designate the type of measuring standard used. So for example, if I'm going to click on AM underscore ISO, I will be using the ISO standard for measurements. And similarly, the AM underscore ANSI is the American standard for measurements. So these are the two basic standards amongst the other ones that are present here, and I will be using the ISO standard. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to click on open. Okay, so now as you can see, the interface consists of several different bars and a workspace, right? Now what we're going to do is we're going to show you how or rather what these menu bars can do. Now if you see on the top, this is called the main menu bar, and it consists of options that you would find when you clicked on this button right here. So for example, this is the new option, this is the open, and this is the undo and the redo button. Similarly, you can also customize this menu bar by clicking on this arrow right here. So when you click it, you will have a menu and it will show you a bigger list of options, right? So now if I were to click on any of these, they would basically be added to this menu bar. But for beginners, I would suggest that you keep your menu bar as small as possible and down to these 7 standard options. Okay, so now we're going to click here again and the menu bar disappears. So this one, the second bar right below the main menu bar, is called the tab menu bar, and as you can see, it has several tabs for home, insert, annotate, etc. right? So at the end of this is a small button, right? I'll show you what that small button does, but before that, what beneath the tab menu bar is basically a ribbon. This ribbon contains several different options that allow you to modify your design or perform different processes on your design, right? The ribbon, if you may have noticed, consists of several sections. Each section is called a panel and is separated from the other section by a line, right? So to differentiate between the different type of processes you could perform, right? As you can see here, this is a draw option, it's a construction option, detail option, and so forth. Now it's possible that when you start your AutoCAD, you may not have these options. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to click here, and this button allows us to basically alter this ribbon. In other words, we can choose to have it displayed or not displayed. So if I click here, see, the ribbon has disappeared and the icons have been reduced to larger ones. So if I click again, that also has disappeared, and a third click completely vanishes all 3 of those things. So now the advantage of doing this is that you have a larger workspace, okay, and you have more room to work with, but it can also be problematic for beginners in that they might have to locate the options individually. So, and it's possible that you, for new people, they might accidentally click on this option and everything might disappear. So in order to get it back, all you have to do is click again, and the 4th click will bring everything back. Okay, so now let's look at the bottom of the interface, and as you can see, we have several different types of things. First one is this bar, right? This is called the command line bar. Okay, And in this bar, basically we can input different commands to activate different features. At the extreme bottom right, we can see a type of bar, or rather this is called a status bar. It basically shows you the status of your workspace, right? And it also shows you the type of features that you have enabled to be activated on your workspace. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at what sort of features we want beginners to have activated when they're starting. So if I'm going to click on these three lines, it will allow me to customize my status bar. Now, as you can see, this has several different type of options, and most of them are not important for a beginner. What we're going to do is we're going to enable 5 of these options. The first one is coordinates, the second one is dynamic input, the third one ortho mode, fourth one 2D object snap, and the fifth one is line. Now, for now, you don't need to be concerned with what these individual options do. Some of them and their functions will be very obvious. For example, coordinates. It's obvious that this will display the coordinates on my worksheet. And dynamic input, I'll get back to that in a moment. The other ones, ortho mode, 2D object snap, and line weight. You only need to be concerned with those when we're actually designing. So for now, or at least for this introductory video, we're not going to go into detail. So I'm going to, once you have all these selected and every other option deselected, we are going to click on this again. Okay. Now this command line toolbar can be moved around, as you can see. It can be quite irritating if the command line toolbar is in a position somewhere like this. Ordinarily you will find it at the bottom, somewhere here. But we want it to be we want our workspace to be as clear as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the left hand side of this bar and drag it to the bottom. Now once you see this sort of window appear, this means that it's going to be meshed with the bottom of the interface, and if I click, you can see that it's now docked onto the bottom. Okay. Now I was mentioning the dynamic input feature. So what that basically does is that if you simply were to type a command, it would appear on the bottom right of your cursor. Now for now, we're not going to be introducing you to different or more advanced commands. What we're going to do is we're going to input a command which will allow us to activate the navigation bar. So for that, what we're going to do is we're going to type nav bar and we're going to press enter. As you see, as soon as you press enter, it gives you all the options related to that command, right? Now because this is a type of menu bar, what's going to happen is it's going to give you two options, right? You can either have the menu bar which is off or have it on. So I'm going to click on on. As soon as you click on, you see something appear on the right hand side of the worksheet, and you can see that it's grayed out. It's because the cursor is not on the bar at the moment. Now this bar, just like the menu bar or the command line bar, can be moved around, right? So what I'm going to do is, the best position for this to be is actually at the bottom right, and currently it is on the bottom right. But should you want to keep it somewhere else, what you're going to do is you're going to click on this little arrow at the bottom right. You're going to go to docking positions, and you can select from 4 different positions, right? So the bottom right is the best one, so we're going to keep it on the bottom right. Now if this is on the top, okay, so if you notice that my workspace has a metallic color, right? Now when you're designing, or you can find this color to be interfering with your design, or maybe you just want to have a different color for your workspace. So how can we edit the color? What we're going to do is we're going to right click on the workspace. We're going to select options. Okay. As soon as you click options, a menu or other window should open up, and as you can see, this has several different options. All these options will allow you to modify the interface. Now a lot of these buttons and options are quite advanced, so we're not going to play around with them. What we want to do, we just want to modify the color. So I'm going to go on display, the display tab, and then I'm going to select colors. And from colors, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select uniform background, 2D model space, and over here I can now select the type of color I want. Now it's best that you select white, because white will not interfere with your actual designs. So I'm going to select white, and I'm going to click on apply and close. I'm going to click on apply again, close this. Now you can see that my background is white. Okay, another thing I forgot to mention was that in the main menu bar, if you go on this little arrow, and you can basically select this option, what it does is it drops down, or rather it adds another bar, right? And this is called the drop down menu bar. Okay, so now this was a complete introduction towards the interface, and for now you should be getting acquainted with the several options that I have shown you. And in our next part we are going to be introducing you to some other features. So I hope to see you again.